Dr. Marionne had a rich background in medicine, having earned her qualification from the University of Hamburg in 1978. She initially practiced in various roles in Hamburg until 1989 when she relocated to Australia. In Australia, she successfully passed the Australian Medical Council examination and dedicated 14 years of her career to the fields of women's health, nutrition, holistic medicine, and bioidentical hormone therapy. In 2006, Dr. Marionne made another move, this time to Germany, before eventually settling in the UK in 2007, where she joined the GMC register. It was in this year that she founded a private clinic in London. At the outset, Dr. Marionne needed to import specialized drugs for her practice since they were not readily available in the UK through standard pharmacies. Consequently, in 2009, she established her own compounding pharmacy known as London Specialist Pharmacy. Dr. Marionne's professional journey took a different turn in November 2012 when another doctor began working at the clinic, a position she held until 2016. Following this, the colleague ventured into independent practice by establishing her own clinic. In 2018, another compounding pharmacy, Galenique Laboratories Limited, trading as Roseway, was founded by a former CEO of Dr. Marionne's clinic. Initially, the colleague's patients of private practice could only have prescriptions dispensed by the LSP, but later they were given the option to use Roseway. Dr. Marionne's clinical career saw its conclusion at the end of 2017 when she retired. However, she applied for a temporary license to practice during the COVID pandemic, although this license was subsequently revoked on April 11, 2022, following a determination by the Medical Practitioners Tribunal. The allegations that led to Dr. Marionne's hearing centered around events that occurred around November 26, 2020. It was alleged that Dr. Marionne requested the colleagues' login details for Roseway's online portal, eRoseway, and that she personally used these details and allowed others to access confidential information about Roseway and confidential patient data. These actions were alleged to be dishonest. The initial concerns that triggered this investigation were raised with the GMC on March 14, 2022, by the chief executive of Roseway. Despite her request for voluntary erasure from the medical register being refused, Dr. Marionne's case continued to unfold before the Medical Practitioners Tribunal. During the course of these proceedings, Dr. Marionne, represented by her counsel, made admissions in accordance with General Medical Council, Fitness to Practice, Rules 2004, as amended. The tribunal subsequently announced these admissions, and they were found to be proved. The primary issues to be determined by the tribunal centered on whether Dr. Marionne personally used the login credentials to access confidential information related to Roseway and confidential patient data, and if such actions constituted dishonesty. The tribunal has made the following determinations regarding the facts of the case. On or around November 26, 2020, Dr. Marionne asked a colleague for her login details to Galenique Laboratories Limited trading as Roseway Labs online portal, eRoseway, which was admitted and found proved. Furthermore, on one or more occasions, Dr. Marionne facilitated someone else in using the login to access confidential information related to Roseway, which was admitted and found proved. She also admitted and found proved that she facilitated someone else to use the login to access confidential patient information. Dr. Marionne did not have permission from Roseway to possess the login, access confidential information relating to Roseway, access confidential patient information, or facilitate someone else to use the login for such purposes. She was aware that she did not have permission for these actions, and her actions were deemed dishonest. However, it was determined and found not proved that she personally used the login to access confidential information relating to Roseway or confidential patient information. During the impairment stage of the proceedings on September 5, 2023, both the GMC and Dr. Marionne's counsel made their respective submissions. The GMC's counsel highlighted several disputed factual issues, including why Dr. Marionne needed to access the Roseway portal when the LSP portal was nearly ready, whether she considered the ethical implications of her actions, and whether she was unaware of continued login usage. Mr. Kitching emphasized that while Dr. Marionne had admitted dishonesty, she needed to be held accountable for the profound impact her actions had on others, as well as the breach of professional standards. The counsel referred to good medical practice, 2013, and emphasized the importance of honesty, integrity, and maintaining patient confidentiality. He argued that Dr. Marionne's multiple breaches of these standards constituted serious misconduct and asserted that her actions necessitated a finding of current impairment. On behalf of Dr. Marionne, the counsel conceded that there were serious breaches of propriety and acknowledged that misconduct would be found. However, he argued that Dr. Marionne's primary intention was to test the functionality of the LSP portal compared to eRoseway, rather than to obtain patient records or breach confidentiality. He emphasized that Dr. Marionne did not deceive or pressure anyone and was unaware of the significance of her request. The counsel argued that the success of Dr. Marionne's business should not be taken as evidence of sinister intent and described her conduct as a one-off incident of naivety. He highlighted Dr. Marionne's lack of prior disciplinary issues over her 45-year career and her genuine remorse and regret. Dr. Marionne had taken steps to address her lapse in standards, including attending relevant courses and introducing further training and coaching in her businesses to prevent similar mistakes. In conclusion, the counsel asserted that Dr. Marionne's admitted dishonesty should be viewed as being at the lower end of the spectrum, and he argued that there was no need for a finding of impaired fitness to practice in this case. The tribunal addressed disputed factual issues related to the case. It decided that fairness required it to make determinations on these disputed facts to reach comprehensive decisions on misconduct and fitness to practice. The burden of proof for these disputed facts lay with the GMC, and the civil standard of proof was applied. Regarding whether the LSP portal was almost ready to go around November 26, 2020, the tribunal found, based on Dr. Marionne's own account, that the LSP portal was not nearly complete at that time. It noted a 2-year period before the completion of version 2 of the LSP portal. In terms of whether Dr. Marionne gave no thought to the ethical implications of her actions on or around November 26, 2020, the tribunal concluded that it was more likely than not that she had some awareness of GDPR principles due to her business acumen. It found that the primary purpose of the meeting on that date was to improve the LSP portal's functionality by referencing the Roseway portal. Regarding Dr. Marionne's awareness of continued use of the Roseway portal after November 26, 2020, the tribunal found her testimony convincing. It noted her limited IT skills and concluded that she genuinely gave no thought to the future use of the Roseway portal by others and was unaware of such use. The tribunal considered the relevant sections of good medical practice and other guidance in evaluating whether Dr. Marionne's actions amounted to misconduct. It found that Dr. Marionne had breached several key principles of GMP, including honesty, patient confidentiality, and the obligation to treat colleagues fairly and with respect. Additionally, it noted that her actions involved accessing another company's secure login details, providing them to meeting attendees without control over their use, and allowing unauthorized access for a prolonged period. Dr. Marionne's admission of dishonesty further reinforced the seriousness of her misconduct. Considering all the evidence and relevant standards, the tribunal determined that Dr. Marionne's actions and omissions constituted serious misconduct. The tribunal thoroughly evaluated whether Dr. Marionne's fitness to practice was currently impaired due to her serious misconduct. It considered the remediability of her misconduct and found that it was capable of being remedied, noting her regret, remorse, and the steps she had taken to avoid recurrence. The tribunal recognized Dr. Marionne's previously unblemished career spanning over 45 years and her positive standing in her specialty, but also highlighted that her unauthorized use of a rival company's portal, coupled with the unauthorized disclosure of confidential patient information, brought disrepute to the medical profession and breached fundamental principles. Considering the need to protect public health, confidence in the medical profession, and proper professional standards, the tribunal concluded that Dr. Marionne's fitness to practice was impaired. After finding Dr. Marionne's fitness to practice impaired due to her serious misconduct, the tribunal deliberated on the appropriate sanction. On behalf of the GMC, it was suggested that a suspension should be imposed. The tribunal acknowledged the seriousness of Dr. Marionne's misconduct, which involved breaches of professional standards and dishonesty, causing adverse consequences to various parties. However, it also recognized her remorse, cooperation, and extensive remediation efforts. The tribunal determined that Dr. Marionne's dishonesty was a one-off event and not a course of conduct. While her actions were serious, they fell short of being fundamentally incompatible with continued registration. Considering the interests of the public, Dr. Marionne, and the need to uphold professional standards, the tribunal concluded that a period of suspension was the appropriate and proportionate response. Erasure was deemed excessive and punitive in this context. The tribunal also concluded that 4 months suspension will be enough to mark the seriousness of the conduct. Although GMC submitted an immediate order, the tribunal concluded that it will be of no useful purpose. The same was the conclusion regarding the review hearing.